able to tell by my attire, we are on the road to WrestleMania, and the most important stop, in my opinion, and one of the most fun matches, I would say, on the road to WrestleMania, which is the period from January till April. I think it doesn't include December, but it's January till April, from the Royal Rumble, which is the pay-per-view in January. Day one was also in January. I don't know if that's going to be a permanent thing or not, but I did go to that. I also went to this Mania, which is why I have all this Orlando stuff. From January to April, Rumble to Mania, we have a bunch of pay-per-views that heavily impact, even every show heavily impacts what's going to happen at Mania. So the Royal Rumble, and I watched the first five, by the way, first four. Uh, the whole thing with it is there are 30 men. It's the first one actually only had 20, and Hacksaw Jim Duggan won that. And at a period of what used to be 2 minutes and is now a minute and a half intervals, one man enters. So you start off with two guys, and you eliminate people not by pin, not by submission. You eliminate them by throwing them over the top rope. Both feet hit the floor, and they're out. They're done. The rules are kind of iffy. Personally, I would have like you can only be outside for like 10 seconds, because sometimes you have people just roll under the ropes and sit out there. Well, that's kind of dumb. But anyway, I'm going to be talking about specifically this year's Rumble and why it's stupid and why wrestling is stupid, and it's a whole thing. But first, let's just get into it, actually. So, this year's Royal Rumble, spoilers by the way, it happened yesterday. I don't know when this video will go up. But, first of all, there are actually two Rumbles now. There's the women's, and the women's Rumble was very good. One thing that the women have advantage over the men is they can get a lot of guests, a lot of historical Hall of Famers. You get a lot of Hall of Famers and stuff like that. Alexa, turn off bedroom. That light is bothering me. But you get a lot of historical people come in, and that was kind of the Rumble's gimmick, not from the start, but just to be able and have, oh, this guy's in. He's not like last year they had, I don't know, Johnny Knoxville was a guest. Shane McMahon was like your historical figure. Calling Shane McMahon a historical figure is bizarre, but he was your. I also don't want to refer to him as a Hall of Famer. I doubt Vince does either. But I don't know. There are only a couple, which like you get to 30, you get to 20. It's like, okay, there are 10 people left, and these are all just like people who I can see every week. Like, that's kind of boring. Again, the women's Rumble did this better, but one thing that I think the Rumble should focus on fixing is there are way too many tag teams. Dolph Ziggler and Robert Roode do not both need to be in there. You can put Dolph Ziggler in there. You can put Robert Roode in there. Or I don't know if he goes by Bobby now again. But you can put Dolph or Bobby in there, either one. But you don't need them both in there. They're a tag team. Why? So now you're down to 29 people. Chad Gable and Otis were in there. I like both of them, but again, I feel like you don't need to have the Alpha Academy is what they're called in there. That's 28. So you just need to free up more spots by that. We don't need a ton of tag teams. And that was part of the thing, part of the psychology of the Rumble was it's every man for themselves, okay? The winner of the Rumble, I don't know if I mentioned this, goes on to main event WrestleMania with a champion of their choosing, which is why it's so impactful on the road to WrestleMania. This used to not be the case, and I almost prefer it because then it makes it more like you're not going to have Chad Gable win the Royal Rumble, because you don't want Chad Gable to, there's no reason for Chad Gable to be the main eventer of WrestleMania, even though he's good. Like, he's just not in that title picture. So it kind of narrows down way too much who your champion, who is going to win it. So I don't earlier in the night, there are different matches. There was, I want to say, Miz and Maurice versus Beth and Edge. There was the Women's Rumble, obviously, and there's one before that. What was the show? Oh, I'm stupid. Roman Reigns versus Seth Rollins, which we'll get back to. And I feel like there's another one. I can't exactly remember what it was, but I feel like there's another one. Anyway, so Roman Reigns, just so you know, is your WWE champion, or is your Universal champion. Bobby Lashley is your WWE champion as of yesterday. Now, we need to go back to day one before I explain why I hated the finish to this Rumble. But at day one, it's supposed to be, which I went to, by the way, it's supposed to be Roman and Brock Lesnar versus Roman versus Brock Lesnar, and then there's a four-way for the title: Bobby Lashley, Seth Rollins, KO, Kevin Owens. Who's the last one? Big E, the champion. I don't know. I couldn't think of this, but Big E went in as the champion. Roman Reigns gets COVID. This gets announced like at 6. The show starts at 7. So, like, okay, Roman Reigns got COVID. That sucks. We're not getting Reigns, Brock. But they decide they're going to put Brock in the 4-way match. So now it's a 5-way. Okay, kind of bizarre decision. Now you're kind of crossing over your title pictures. I wouldn't do it personally, but okay, you can just have someone else take the... It's not an elimination match, so the 5-way would be just the first person to get a pin on any other person in the ring wins and wins the WWE champion. So you just have Brock get knocked out or something, and then Big E retains, or Bobby wins or something. So anyway, they decide, though, that they're not going to do that. Brock's going to become WWE champion. What? Right off the bat, that's an odd decision, because now you're like, okay, are we getting Brock Roman? Which is a match I always like. They're always good matches, but I'm kind of tired of seeing Brock in that position, especially when you've got heel Roman, the tribal chief. He's the bad guy, and he's had this Universal Champion for a historic 538 days, I think, as of yesterday. And WrestleMania is where everyone thinks he's dropping the belt. So the guy to do that is Brock again? Like, why? Everyone's kind of tired of him, I feel like. It just doesn't make any sense. But in the arena, Brock wins the title. And everyone's like, okay, now we're getting Bobby Brock. I'm okay with this. And I was too. I think Bobby Brock's a cool match to do. So they do it at the Rumble. Well, Paul Heyman, who was Roman's manager, who was also Brock's manager before Brock left, turned on Roman, or he didn't really turn on Roman. Roman fired Heyman because he thought he was helping Brock. So Heyman's now with Brock, and Brock and Heyman are out there during their title match with Lashley. Well, the ref gets knocked out because he decides that a great place to stand is right in front of Brock when he's fixing to throw Lashley. So he throws Lashley off his shoulders, and he hits the ref. Ref goes outside of the ring. So now they don't know, there's no official, so you can cheat now. So Roman comes down to the ring after his Seth match. Roman comes down to the ring, and he hits Brock with a spear, and then he asks Heyman for the title. Heyman's holding the title. So he puts his hand out, and Heyman gives him the title. And he takes the title, and he rams it into Brock's face. Bobby pins Brock and wins the title. So now Roman is going up the ramp. Paul Heyman's now following him. So I don't really know if they're going for okay, Roman's winning now, so I'm just going to go with him, or if the plan was for him, Paul Heyman, to make Brock think he was on his side, or what. So it's kind of confusing to me. But we don't know yet. It's just a day after. We'll probably get more answers on Friday, since that's SmackDown and that show has the Universal Championship currently. So that's all fine and good. Okay, now Brock can say, hey, you messed up my WWE Championship match. We didn't get to have our Day 1 Championship match. We should do a rematch, and we should do it at Mania, okay? He has every reason just to go up and say, hey, let's do the rematch at Mania. So, instead, though, we're in the Royal Rumble. Drew McIntyre returns. That was a fun return. And number 30, the buzzer goes off. 30 is the best position you want, by the way. 1 is the worst, because it's 1 and 2 are the worst, because you have to outlast a bunch of people, and you're worn out and you're tired. So 30, buzzer goes off. It's Brock Lesnar's theme song, and I was so mad. It was so dumb. This doesn't need to happen. Now, the Royal Rumble winner can choose to go against the Universal Champion. He can choose to go against the WWE Champion. But now we've got Brock, and as soon as Brock's music hit, you're like, Brock's going to win it. Like, there's no way. There's no way Brock's taking a loss twice in one night. And there's no way you, it's stupid. And so Brock gets in number 30, eliminates 7 people, eliminates McIntyre easily, and wins the Rumble. So now he's going to Mania. And now you can't do anything interesting with the Rumble, because everyone already knew it was going to be Brock Roman at Mania. It's bizarre, and you can't do anything interesting with the other title, because because now the Rumble winner is obviously going to choose the Universal Championship to go after. So now into what I think was originally the plan pre-Roman COVID. So that's what happened, and I think Brock beats Roman at Mania, because obviously that's you don't build up all that for nothing. I think it's dumb, and actually I want to go ahead and get into what I think should have happened instead of what, I'm going to get into what should have happened. So what should have happened is Seth and Roman had a match. Seth was a team with Roman, so he came down and he was in his Shield gear. Their team was the Shield, and he wins the match, but there's a thing called Champion's Advantage. So if you're the champion, you have to be pinned, or you have to be submitted, or you have to submit in order to lose your belt. You still lose the match, but you don't lose the belt. So what Reigns does is at the end of the match, Seth Rollins has really ticked him off, so he puts him in a chokehold, and Rollins grabs the bottom rope. Well, if you grab the bottom rope, you have to break up. That's how you break up a move. A submission hold. You have to drop the submission hold. You've got till 5. Roman holds on to him for 20 seconds. He loses the match by DQ, but he keeps his belt. I thought it was a pretty good ending. So now Rollins, I think, should not return for months. I think Rollins, however, comes back around Mania, or maybe not in the Elimination Chamber, which is also big. I think the winner of that gets to choose a belt to go after. I don't remember the rules to that. But, so now I think Rollins should come back around Mania, come back as a face, and be the one to beat Roman, because you'll notice there's a streak. Rollins has never lost to Roman at a pay-per-view match. So, not at WrestleMania, not at Royal Rumble, and he won that match. So they made it so he still has not lost his streak of beating Roman at a pay-per-view match. So what I think they're going to do is have Rollins be gone after he was, after Roman attempted to murder him in the middle of the ring, in the side of the ring technically. But, so now he's going to be gone for a little bit, and then come back as a face, though, as a good guy, so he can beat Roman and become the Universal Champion, thus preserving. That's the reason you preserve his "I've never lost" at a or not at a big pay-per-view to Roman. And I don't think there's any beyond the fact that it's just a cool finish. I don't get like any other reason to preserve that streak, and they kept bringing it up. So that's what I thought they were gonna do. But now we're getting Brock Roman. It maybe Rollins comes in and we have like last year. I want to talk about last year, but later. First, I'm going to talk about what I think was the plan pre-Roman getting COVID. So Roman gets COVID and he can't do his match with Brock. I think if that Brock match goes down, Heyman has already been fired by Roman by the time day one rolls around. So Heyman is theoretically on Brock's side. I think Heyman does something to make Brock lose his title match at day one, so that way Brock doesn't take take a clean loss. So now you can say, all right, I want my clean match against Roman, which is kind of what Rollins did, where he wanted the Usos barred so they couldn't interfere, so he could get a fair chance at the Rumble to win the title. So Brock would want his fair chance, and he'd win at Mania. Again, I wouldn't have Brock win at Mania. They're going to. I don't know what's up with that. But, so Brock wins. But I think as stupid as the Rumble thing was, and as dumb as like, okay, this wouldn't have happened had they made that decision to put Brock in, had Roman not got COVID, whatever. I think the plan was always to have him in the Rumble, though. It's a stupid plan, but I feel like they always wanted him to win the Rumble. I'd kind of get it if they had him run down there and take whoever was number 30, take their spot, beat him up, and throw him out, and say, all right, I'm in the Rumble now. It's still dumb. You still shouldn't do it, but it'd be better than just him. I was already in the Rumble, going for third at number 30. It's just bizarre. And so I think Brock was always going to win the Rumble, personally, and I think he goes on to WrestleMania to beat Roman. Now, last year's Rumble had a stupid problem too. And the problem wasn't necessarily with the Rumble, but the road to WrestleMania itself. Last year, Edge won the Royal Rumble from number 1. Again, number 1 and 2, technically, are the worst spots to get into. So he stays in that whole match. Those are like an hour long, by the way. That's like an hour long match. And he wins. Edge is a Hall of Famer. Edge came back last year the year before last at the Rumble. And, people are behind him. So why not have Edge beat Roman for the title? That's what I would have done. But they had Daniel Bryan come in and say, hey, I want to be in this WrestleMania match too. So now it's a 3-way. Well, you can't have Roman drop the belt in a 3-way. It's just stupid, because if Edge pins Bryan for the belt, because again, a 3-way, it's not elimination. You can pin anyone to win. Doesn't have to be the champion. So now Bryan pins. You can't have Bryan. I don't think won it under any circumstances. I would have never had Bryan win it. And it's even more funny because Bryan's now not even with the company. It's so stupid. But they have. You can't have Roman drop the belt in a 3-way. So now we know. Okay, Roman retains, and they had the smash and stack and pin him where he pinned Bryan and Edge, one on top of the other. It was. I mean, that was a cool finish, but I would have had Edge win at Mania if you're gonna have Edge win the Rumble. I mean, if you had Bryan win the Rumble, I think I'd have Bryan lose. But I mean, it's Edge. So they didn't do that. They fumbled that, and now we're getting a new Rumble, new year, and of course they fumble that too. No one wants to see Brock be the one to end Roman's run, Roman's Tribal Chief Championship run. But I feel like that's what you're doing, because if you don't do it there, I think title reign has to end at Mania. And if you don't do it there, you gotta wait a whole nother year, a whole nother Rumble that you're gonna mess up. Because I have zero faith in that anymore. It's just, I don't know. So that was my kind of rant. Is very disorganized. But that's it. Probably the first, like, I've done reviews on wrestling figures, but first, like, talking about wrestling in itself thing I've done. I enjoyed it much more than I enjoyed watching Brock walk down to the ring in the Rumble match. I can tell you that much. But you can go to SouthAtlantaWrestling.com for more stuff like this. My dad will have an article paired with this video, probably. So, that's it for me.